unstructured telephone call based grievance redressal or a structured method, whether we would be encouraging like letters, paper letters to come and handle those things, or whether we should be encouraging email. So these are all, when we handle with volumes, our strategy method should also be different. It should be more efficient.
Coordinating agency should cooperate also. Some problem I have, I can tell CPG has told me Chennai, do it, I can say at least. You cannot every time I come to Bangalore.
No, you are referring to the processing happening at different centers. This is a issue which we have already taken note of, and answer to that was when we said that if you e-file 95% or 100%, there will be no processing outside. All returns will get processed in CPC. So please e-file. In 2 years' time, all returns will be getting processed and will be migrating over from the legacy system to CPC system. Data will be cleaned up, and there will be, ultimately our aim is also to have only one processing setup, not multiple type of things. Okay, so rectification, I have said that the issues for processing and the rectification, they are common. So this more or less a repetition of this thing. I need not go into this. Certain business rule modifications we have done at our end, which will be reducing your grievances. In 44 AD cases, it was raised that the 234B and C interest are getting charged in income under 44 AD. That problem has been, rule change has been made as far as ITR 4S is concerned, Sugam. But let me admit at the same time that we are running against a big problem when we try to implement it in ITR 4, where you have got businesses which are auditable, but there are also some business which is presumptive. So bifurcation of the tax paid by you, the tax credit, and applying the appropriate 234 BC interest is a problem. This was not envisaged earlier. Form design has not taken this aspect into consideration. So we are trying to devise some via media, but in 4S this problem has been taken care of. Then earlier we were in CPC business processing rules. If you indicate in the TDS 1 salary, that is TDS schedule 1, you indicate the salary income against which TDS is made, and it was higher than the salary income you have computed in schedule salary, then we are automatically replacing it with the higher value. Then it was brought to our notice that no, sometimes the deductors, they put the gross salary in the form 16, which the taxpayers fill up, and after deductions they only fill up in the scheduled salary. This rule was taken by taking our departmental software into account, because departmental software, if you use, it will not allow different figures to be put in these two columns. It picks up directly from TDS schedule 1. But then it was brought to notice that private software doesn't have this validation check, so there are two different figures which can be entered, and then form 16 is also so this rule has been modified, and we are taking only the salary whatever you enter in the scheduled salary. But we verify the TDS. We do not, there should be some sort of proximate match between the salary and the TDS. That as a rule will still perform, but it will not automatically replace from the TDS schedule 1.
And only one practical difficulty I will just highlight. In some education institutions like IIT or IIMs, they allow their professors to do some consulting work. But the entire consultancy fees comes to the institution and they disperse it. They include that income also in the salary form 16 and recover the TDS. But they disclose that income in professional income.
So the deductor has to, in that case, he has to not use a non-form 16A, and he has to put it under TDS schedule. So, no, if...
but they put form 16A, they have to recover 10%. But they recover as per the normal rate. as yes.
So in that case, the recipient is aggrieved if 30% did not.
They don't mind that because the tax is paid. But he is disclosing it at a different date because if you disclose that.
No, I will, it's left to you what to do you like. Like let a form has been prepared. Let the appropriate incomes come at the respective places. Why should we make it so challenging to any kind of a system? We have, after all, some sort of a standardization should be there in any kind of a software environment. If the intention is that the consultancy fees is to be taxed as professional receipts, it doesn't partake the nature of salary. It has to be offered in the other scheduled TDS too, not in this thing. Then non-speculative loss was not being allowed against speculative income earlier. That was a bug we detected.
But again, regular income it was not allowed.
Yeah, it was not being allowed against regular income. That's what I'm saying, that non-speculative loss was, no, it was being allowed, but it was not being allowed against speculative income. You have your speculative income in the current year, claiming a set-off against that from some other, loss from earlier year, that was not happening because that rule has been changed. Now it will be allowing the set-off of these things. Legal has had faced some problems. Some cases where after CPC processed, unfortunately the assessees expired and the refund checks were made out into the old account numbers and in the name of the deceased assessee. So this facility has now been built for these legal heirs to approach. All of you may be aware of that. Then this is one of the area where a partial claim is made in the TDS schedule 2. You claim only part of it and say that I am offering that income in the other years, some subsequent year, depending on the nature of the business and all these things. In our earlier years, from assessment year 11-12 backwards, neither of the system was capable of handling this kind of a situation. This was one of the issues. Then there were also issue of co-owners of properties who had TDS made against this thing. Then in Karnataka we had a typical problem of Portuguese families who are filing in Goa. There both the husband and wife they claim 50% of the income in respective hands, but the TDS is a combined TDS. So under Rule 5A, that Section 5A, that issue was there. So 1213 we have tried to address this issue. Return for 1213 has a clear provision of claiming only part of the TDS based on cash basis or something if you are accounting. Earlier years is a case-by-case method. Wherever there is we have to look individually and do a rectification provided suitable information is submitted. Assessing officers have to do, and we are allowing the cases to be rectified by the assessing officers on a request being received from them. If you apply to them with a rectification application, they will approach CPC for transferring the case to them. Will be able to transfer that and he will rectify after verifying the evidences in that. Then we have also, as I was mentioning, made a lot of changes to the forms. Not all the requests have been accepted, but most of them have already been accepted. I'll just take you through breakup of the ATG claims, like whether it is 50%, 100%, all those things. Now in 2012-13.
So why are you asking for PAN details? PAN details of the institutions to whom donations are given. Law does not require it. If I have given only 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees donation to an institution, if I ask them, they don't provide.
You ask the Prime Minister's big fund.
No, it's provided. I don't think it's a fatal if you don't.
It doesn't accept.
It doesn't accept. Okay.
It's not allowed.
Certificate doesn't. No. All charitable institutions, they have to be registered and.
PAN number.
No, but then you should be asking for the registration certificate. Normally, that is also provided by the agencies which receive donations.
They don't give the donor registration. They give only the ATG order. It doesn't contain PAN number. Nowadays we insist whenever we give donation, if it is substantial donation, in the receipt itself they spread to the PAN number.
Is it a case where they do not have PAN? No, it can't be a case. So please ask for the PAN when.
Sir, while giving donation out of executive we give, we cannot ask them to give this. So, but the law does not require it. That is the problem.
No, no.
Given 1 day salary as a donation.
I do not have an answer readily, but because this design etc. are made by another wing, TPL, tax planning, taxation policy department. If it is a pertinent issue, you can definitely make a representation against that thing.
So CPC or
Not CPC is not a TPL board.
no, you can forward it to them.
We will be definitely raising it as a issue to them. Just one last this thing. Then in schedule 6A, there are earlier several sections like 80G, 80GGA, 80, they were all clubbed under one this thing. But the rules for processing all of those exemptions are different. So if you put a figure, we do not know whether it is 80G, 80GGA. So now it has all been made separate so that inaccurate processing will not happen. Once we know the particular section, we will be applying the specific rule for processing that.
Your idea to ATD, the Mediclaim, it doesn't allow more than 15,000.
20,000.
It doesn't allow you more than, because the senior citizen you get better. It
Acha.
doesn't allow.
We'll check up that. I am not very sure because I think the rule is 20,000 limit is there for that. Senior citizens. No. Why seniors? Based on the date of birth, it will be.
It's like I insure for my dad. He's about 60 years.
Oh, okay. So that means we do not have complete information to take a call either way.
No, but
Sir, your software should provide for all these things.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we are, all these form level changes when we come across, discuss with you, find a problem, we go back and say that this is the problem encountered. More information is required. Please make a provision in the form. Then of course, then we anticipate that you will all go to the parliament and say that the forms are becoming more and more complex. They are asking more information. Like the PAN, you are asking for the deductors and donors and this thing. MAT schedule also, this problem we had already discussed, that change has been made to make it profit, the computation of the things. MAT C has also been changed. LTCG now in the schedule you have got both proviso and non-proviso has to be indicated separately.
Our LPCG, what practically will be faced, assessee having invested in capital gain account scheme, but within 3 years they don't construct the house. So it becomes chargeable in the 3rd year. But if you want to treat this, only the amount of income is straightway includable. It is asking for date of purchase and date of sale.
Cost price.
To do that. Already it has been computed in the earlier years. Only the amount of income has to be included. It doesn't permit that.
No, that's only for information, not the.
No, for computation, inclusion. It's a taxable income. It's not information. In the 3rd year, when the investment does not happen, I have to include it in the total income and pay the tax.
Yeah.
Advance tax already paid, but it doesn't permit the inclusion. Unless we give some dummy data, it doesn't allow the inclusion.
We'll check. Please give her this thing because we are not aware of this thing here. Earlier also the BFLA schedule was not having breakup of different types of speculative loss or loss from horse maintenance horse races. Securities, and secondly there was no demarcation between depreciation, unabsorbed depreciation and brought forward loss. Those things have been provided. 44AE also now depending on the number of vehicles, number of months, etc., those details have to be furnished. Income from specified business, that is that adding back in schedule BP, that is also now provided. More information for partners members in IT advice, those which we discussed these problems, they have also been taken. So point is wherever it has been brought to our notice, even though we are not directly concerned, but we are facing the same problem because our rules do not work correctly. So we are proposing changes into the modification to the form, just like you have mentioned regarding capital gains. We'll flag this and we'll take it up for seeing whether further changes can be made. So broadly, these are the things. We hope that the efforts should be both sides, and there should be efforts from both the sides. We are trying to make the processing as accurate as possible, but for that there is also a requirement from all your side to make the data clean and clear. So with that hope, I leave it to Ravi Shankar to take up in the next session the operational details, and I hope that the present e-filing season, please devote a little more time for preparing the returns accurately. That will save you the problem, that will save CPC a problem, because just to share with you, 95% of my returns get processed in no time, and 5% of the returns take whole of our energy and effort. We are equally wary of these kinds of returns as you are about your grievances. So please help us in, yes.
When we log in, it is asking for the password. So when we contacted everybody, we would go for circuit password. But we couldn't do it because we don't know the secret. How will we proceed?
No, there is one.
Last year, physical filing. If I do physical filing for last year, then there is a problem.
No. In that case, you send a mail anyway with all these details to that validate at the rate of this thing. They will help you out. It's not such a hopeless situation, because in case you don't have it, you just drop a mail to them. They will be taking care of the thing. And it has been done already. Okay. So we'll.
Yes, sir. Sir, all the questions after the tea break will
there
take
are-
up, sir.
there are
So now
some
tea already got cold. So I don't want you to. You yourself have generated sufficient
Sorry
heat.
to have kept you.
is also a huge challenge actually, so which I'll cover in detail. And then we have the post-processing issues. Well, sir has covered in detail a lot of processing issues which are basically around the whole business of data, the whole business of area demand, the whole business of mismatch, which are the key challenges in processing. We have a certain issues around post-processing also, and through this forum I seek your help in sort of reaching out back to the SSCs so that it can be resolved. So if you look at it, what is our capacity to process? Last year about 1.6 crore returns were actually filed, and March as usual was a seasonal peak, belated in terms of belated returns. Actually 10% of returns actually get filed by March. You'll be quite surprised that it is not just the seasonal peaks of July and September which take all the load. March is also a big sort of data point. And we processed about 1.34 crore returns last year. Of course, December was a big month for us. We actually crossed more than 22 lakh returns in a month, which means that we actually have a capacity to roughly to process about 2 crore returns at this point. We believe this year will be, while near 2 crore returns could be filed, something like 1.7, 1.8 crore returns is what will get processed. The average processing time has come down. If you look at the bar graph in the bottom, you will see that we are roughly around 1.5 months. And so that's the normal average. 95% of returns actually get processed in about 6 weeks. Now, like what we have been discussing since evening, one of the benchmarks we use to judge our efficiency, while speed is one part, the other part is about quality, right? So if you look at it, while we might process so many returns and process it so fast, but if it is going to create a lot of grievances, then again, it's not going to actually keep everyone happy. So how many rectification requests do we receive is a very key benchmark we use to measure our efficiency. And the yellow line you can see is, it's dipping, and it's dipping quite fast. And we do believe that as we go forward, some of it are bigger teething issues, some of which are data issues, some of which are business rule issues. And as these get rectified over a period of time, this number is actually coming down. So what the grievances, what we are actually discussing, and I mean, probably in the last 1 hour, second half of Mishra sir's presentation is all around this 3.5-4% of the cases. And then how fast do we resolve them? Yes, we had a lot of issues in resolving rectifications on a time-bound manner, but if you look at it, I think last 2 months we've had substantial progress and 25,000 rectifications to process, and that's a very small note considering we can process to more than 1 lakh returns a day. Now, refund, I mean, we briefly touched upon it when Sir spoke about it. There are a variety of filters which happen. I mean, this is a big challenge because we have 7 lakh refunds actually sitting in our systems. And this morning I was with a few of my practicing CA friends here. And somebody came and actually said, look, I actually have a 7-8 assessment here, 7-8 or 8-9 refund, which I placed a request and I couldn't do it. But actually you can very clearly track it. It is almost like the courier service. You can track the POD. You can actually track the refunds. If you go to the TIN NSDL websites, you can track the refunds. If you have placed a reissue request, you can track it pretty much. And that is updated by SBI. Now, what happens after we process the return? So you look at the numbers. We process 2.5 crore returns. 35% of them are refunds. So which makes it roughly about 80 lakhs. And then 10% is still with us, which is about 8 lakhs. It's still with us. It's not reached the ASCI. So, well, the numbers have been coming. So one reason, if you look at the column assessment year wise, you will see that errored out numbers have been dropping. First was 14.6, then it was 9, then 4.8. It has been coming down purely because we have been processing faster, because the address issues come down when you process faster. Right? The probability of a person changing address in 42 days or 45 days is probably much lower than when you process over 180 days. So the number of issues that's coming down very sharply. But the issues are on bank details. I know I've had arguments with some of my own close practicing CAs, and we touched upon it, and Sir also mentioned, which I found it little amusing, that you need to open a bank account just to have refunds. I mean, we want to send you refunds, but you don't have an account.
No, sir, not like that. They don't want to share the full bank account details with the income tax department.
Before I have been following the concept and they said it is being sent for verification. But what verification even they are not clear. They said what verification you have to really go to the local income tax office to understand what the verification is all about. It is our process to send certain returns for verification. And you will not be able to see it in the site, rather we can access the site. You have to really go in person. But I don't know what verification is all about. It was a return of a retired person.
Okay.
A senior citizen.
Yeah. This is a little strange, huh?
After the refund is computed, very recently, it was not a feature in the past. One more round of check, physical verification is now put in place.
But
Just to avoid, see, you might have come to know of several instances of refund frauds. The patterns that were noticed in those things, they have been put up into some sort of a manual check at this thing, like several refunds going into the same bank account. Several refunds claiming the same address. These are the kind of checks that we are performing. They were not earlier part of our check, but those have been now put up, and they are fairly manual at this stage because it's not a system-driven check. The data is to be called out, and they will do it outside the system.
No, hold on.
It's not a part of the regular system now. When CPC was set up in 2009, what requirements were given, the processes were defined, that didn't provide for these things. So it's not a part of the regular, process data. So it is not available to the call center also.
No,
you will only see the time gap between the two,
Sir,
which will be interpreted as the processing.
I think there's some confusion.